and welcome everyone. This is the AstroTarot Show, and I am your celestial host, SironaRose. And I'm so happy that you're here to join me because we have a lot to talk about. Can you believe that we were already in the beginning of July? This month has went by June went by super quick, I should say. And I stated that before, Mercury is direct and Mercury is doing what Mercury does. He is traveling fast, getting as much information as he possibly can. Now, before I go into more of what is going on this month, there are a few things that I do want to talk about that's going to impact a lot of us. And I will say for those that are fixed signs, this will be very challenging because fixed signs usually, they like everything the same old. Fixed signs can go into a routine of sorts. For the cardinal signs, this is going to be very active as well. There's going to be changes there, but cardinal signs are different because they are instigators. And I will talk about that more. I'll get into more of that. But I will say that this month is going to be very active. We've got a lot of planetary movement. And just like June was very active as well. And I want to talk about a very powerful aspect that happens at the beginning of this month, and it's going to last for the rest of the month. And I want to look at the lineup really quick so I can show you. You can kind of get a mental picture of what's going on here. So on the 1st of July, Mercury meets up with the Sun. And when any planet is conjunct the Sun, this is called a cazimi. And this cazimi for Mercury meeting up in Cancer is going to be at 9 degrees. And that is at the same time, okay, that there'll also be a sextile with Jupiter. Okay, so the Sun and Mercury will be having a sextile with Jupiter. And as Jupiter is having this warm connection with Saturn, remember me talking to you about Saturn before? Saturn is in Pisces, which at one time was Jupiter's planet. So he wants to, in this aspect, he is in Jupiter's house, so to speak. And he is being nice. He is offering his support. He is offering a foundation to those, so that we can bring things into fruition. Now, in saying that, these Saturn is one of, he likes to get things done, right? So this can be one of those aspects. Now, this is bringing flow energy into the mix. And what does that mean? Well, it's about flowing. It's about going with the energy that's, happening, that this is going on. So let's go with it. Let's work within these confines of where we are so that we can make things happen. This is going to be very positive energy, both personally as well as collectively. And remember, right here, Saturn is trying to please Jupiter. So we need to remember that. So he is being good company. And even though he's a little out of sorts with Pisces, because, Pisces is the sign of undoing, whereas Saturn is the sign of structure. Maybe structure dissolving, right? So Cancer, I want to talk a little bit about Cancer. I've talked about that in a little bit, but past two videos I wanted to talk about because we are in the Cancer season. And this planet is the Moon. And when this cazimi that's happening with Mercury and the Sun, I want to explain this so you can fully understand this. And it really goes within this time of year because we just had midsummer. Now, Mercury, when he goes into the heart of the Sun, as he is approaching the Sun, he is invisible because the Sun is so bright that it kind of shades Mercury. And this is when a planet is considered mute. meaning that this is more about following his intuition and his emotions rather than talking. So, Mercury is about communication. And when he is going into, when he does this, he is really having to, as he is meeting the sun, he's really having to concentrate on listen to his emotions, how he's feeling instead of talking. And, he's very logical, very mind oriented. So, and I will say that these aspects are causing a mini trine between Jupiter, the North Node, Mercury, and Saturn. Mercury is in the heart of the sun, and that represents an insight. So when he goes to meet the sun, he's getting a divine revelation of sorts. So a new seed is going to be planted from that insight. That is our inspiration. So Mercury will be born again within the sun. So this is his death and rebirth process. So he's approaching the sun, and then as he gets into the heart of the sun, that is his death. And then as he moves past, he is reborn. So he is going from being an evening star as he's approaching the sun to a morning star, his rebirth, as he dies at the heart of the sun and he is reborn. So that's very interesting in astrology, considering we just had midsummer. So this is more energy of changing, more energy of that actual shift in the hinge. Now, on the same day, Mercury will also have a trine with Neptune, and this will help us with communicating our dreams and our desires, as well as our emotions, and connecting to our intuition. Spirituality can be heightened at that time. This can be deceptive as well, so you have to be careful with that. And we get in those deep waters. Neptune's sign is Pisces, and we get into those deep waters, and we begin to see the illusions. We begin to see all of these things that we want to see, and we have to get really, really careful here, because we can be very deceived. So this could be a time, like relating this collectively, it could be a time where we could hear a lot of news that is inaccurate. Imagine that. It would be a big push of it. It's a big push of news and stories that form an illusion that is trying to trick, it's trying to grab your attention here, like I'm trying to get you here so you don't see what's going on over there. Now on the 10th, Mars will move into the sign of Virgo, and Virgo's key word is to serve. So this energy can be overcritical. It's a very ambitious energy, and it is one of controlled emotions, which, is very much needed, because, we have to, of course, we have to be in connection with our emotions and our intuitions, but we can't allow our emotions to rule all of us, because that will hurt us in the end. We have to have that mind and that connection, right? Our mind, our heart, and our gut, it has to be, we have to feel this, right? One of the things here that we're going to have to be careful with is getting bogged down in details. A Virgo is all about the details, and they will get lost in that. This is micromanaging to the max. And if you've ever worked with Virgos or around Virgos, you can see this. And that is when they're operating in their detriment. They can be overly. Remember, we live in a world of polarity. So whereas there is one, there is also that opposite. This is actually really good energy when you're trying to create something, though, because it allows you the focus energy that's needed. It allows us that getting down to the details and getting it done. But again, we can get stuck in those details. We can't get stuck in that. Somebody said to me that, you need to be ready to have kids. And true, well, I agree with that. But if all of us waited till we were ready to have kids, none of us would probably have kids because when are you really ready? And it's that kind of thing. It's about getting lost in those details. Remember, as they say, the devil is in the detail, and that will get us every single time. On the 11th, Mercury, Venus, let's see here. On the 22nd is when Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo at 9:33 p.m. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit, right now, but it's not, I will do a separate show, like my next show will be talking about that, because there's a lot of detail within, Venus going retrograde in Leo. We are right now in that shadow, so we need to be very careful with that, because this can be, it can be a time where we can overspend. Okay, kind of overindulge. And also it can be when about rethinking those things that you value. There could be a lot of relationships, partnerships of all kinds, breaking up and so forth. Again, we'll talk about that later. So I want to talk about Mercury and the Sun a little bit, and I want to go into this lineup that we're having. So on the 5th, Mercury is about 5 degrees in front of the Sun. And we know that Mars in Leo is at 27 degrees. But he is also conjunct Pallas Athena at 27 degrees. Of Leo, and Pallas Athena is a goddess of warfare. She was the great polarity of Mars. So we have Mars, this war, then we have the feminine version of that, and she is she's not a different energy than Mars, but she just expresses it in a different way. Athena was the protectress of all the cities. And she is leading the way right now on the chart. She is right there. She's in front of Mars. So she's kind of like, Mars has been working his way to get to her. So she's kind of been working on that. Mars has been clearing the road for Venus coming up behind him. So they're not going to catch up anytime soon, but they're still there. Now, Pallas Athena represents more of a civilized warfare as opposed to Mars. Mars is seen to have that bloodlust, to go into that very, very warlike, anything, kill them all and let God sort them out, let their God sort them out, I think. But, that's not Athena. Pallas Athena is about skill, yes. She's about wisdom, yes. And she is all about pursuing the peaceful way first, because as a feminine aspect, she understands what war causes. She understands the problems that come about in that. In wars, it's typically men. It's typically men that are fighting. And these men they're not just some soldiers on the field. These men are somebody's son, somebody's lover, somebody's husband, somebody's friend, somebody's father, somebody's brother, uncle, and so forth. And for the women that are out there as well, this is that concept. I mean, the women that are on the battlefield too, that is somebody's sister, that is somebody's wife, lover, mother, daughter, so forth, best friend. So, Pallas Athena understands what the cost of war is. And the fact that, people look at war as in making money is absolutely sickening. And we can unfortunately see that being played out. But she is also, Pallas Athena is also connected to the industries of spinning and weaving. So in this peaceful pursuit and in this understanding, she's trying to weave a more peaceful future. The only way that we can grow and be prosperous is in that state. We have to learn how to work with the energy and to harmonize. When you're in constant war, that you're not going to be able to survive. That's not fruitful. So it is also stated that Athena contributed to the musical arts by inventing the flute. So here we are, vibration and energy. A flute is more of a higher instrument. Is that a higher vibration, higher frequency? That is the alternative to the bloodlust of Mars. So yeah, I can see that. She is associated with the creative intelligence, the ability to negotiate, in the political arts, and indicates wisdom and intelligence within a clear mind. So here we start the week out with this peaceful protector leading the way, and she is before Mars, which is a good thing, especially with everything that's going on in our world right now. Mars is known to have that bloodlust, and here she can say, I understand, brother. I understand where you see that these laws need to be pushed, where these boundaries need to be made. I see that, brother, but we have to understand there is a better way to go about this. When we bomb the earth, we're killing it for ourselves. So it's fruitless in doing that. So she's having him to pursue peace first, and this is really good energy. And as I stated on I believe it was the last show, I talked about Mars having a quincunx with Pluto. Pluto is squaring the nodes of destiny right now. This is where I really want us to go, because this is so important. Our nodes of destiny are called our north and south nodes. And no, they're not an object per se. They're more of a mathematical calculation, okay? So I will be doing a live Facebook show on the nodes and talking about this big shift, because this is something that will that's really going to impact us. Now, when we get to Pluto is squaring our nodes of the moon, and this began back in March the 23rd of this year, and it's going to last until November of this year, 2023. And the node, like I stated, it's not an actual thing. So the north node is where we're going. The south node is our past. It's where we've been. It's what we're having to release. Now, this shift is indicating that some big changes are going to be happening within our social as well as our political world. This is change at its finest. And remember, change, can be evolution. And that's what we are really needing, is to evolve and to have our connection back with Earth in ways that make sense, that just aren't, still padding the pockets of the elite. So this is going to have some great intensity for any of you that have planets close to 27 degrees of any of the cardinal signs, okay? 27 degrees of any of the cardinal signs, which are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, or at 4 degrees of the fixed signs, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And this will affect us personally and directly in our lives. If you do not have any of those planets that are close to those degrees, this is not going to hit you so bad personally, but you're going to see this being played out in the world around you. The fixed signs will have the hardest times again, because fixed signs like to hang on to what is and what has always been. The 23rd of March, from now, the node, the south node is in the sign of Scorpio, and Pluto is that planet. And Pluto right now is at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and this is incredible. That was back on the 23rd, back on the 23rd, Pluto was at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this was a very incredible pressure, okay? That 0 degree is it's that like the ace, like when you're reading cards and you get like the Ace of Wands, very raw energy, or any of the aces really. So at that time, there were other outer planets like Saturn, that were involved there, and the sun that was moving. So Saturn went retrograde, remember that. So it was shortly after. So anyway, so then and the sun and other planets, all of our personal planets were moving forward. So and there were many layers to this, the different changes. The sun changed signs, there was Saturn went retrograde after that. There was a lot of different things that were really going down at that time. So this is going to be, as all these different layers, it's going to be very like making it bigger, like way bigger than normal. Okay. And I will urge you to go check out my past shows to learn more about that. Now, Taurus energy, the North Node is shifting from Taurus into Aries. And North Node, Rahu, as it's called in Vedic astrology, is known as being a little outlandish, a little insatiable. So we have to watch out for that. But Taurus energy is about our material. It represents the earth element regarding our food, agriculture, banking, wealth, money. And Scorpio is also where our South Node is about finance as well. But this is about shared money, such as stock markets, mortgages. It's like the joint and collective money, loans, big banking systems, big money. And it also goes into underhanded money that has been earned under the table, secretly, privately. It's money exchanged under criminal pretenses. So this could be, criminal monies. This can also represent betrayal as well as toxicity. And remember, it's planet Pluto, and which makes it stronger. Okay, because Pluto right now is back in Capricorn. He's at that 27 degrees, which is really, 29 degrees, which is really, really intense. So he represents, Pluto represents death and rebirth process. He does represent the underworld. He takes us to the underworld. He takes us to the underworld so that we can see what we need to let go of, those things that are not good for us, that are toxic for us, and to release that so that we can have better. Right now, Pluto is in like a vice as the nodes are moving into Aries and into Libra. So this will really get intense on the 11th. Pluto retrograded back in Capricorn at 29 degrees, and this is where he is now. This is critical degree. This is crisis degree. And Pluto will be here until September the 24th, and then he'll move back to 27 degrees and 53 minutes Capricorn. And again, those of you cardinal signs, 27 to 29 degrees will be intense. Pluto's process is to reveal corruption, to reveal those that have a lack of integrity, a lack of accountability, a lack of transparency. So he is traveling on, and he is and what he does, he intensifies each sign that he's in. So it doesn't matter whatever sign he's in, he is going to intensify that sign. And he has been in the sign of Capricorn since 2008. And if y'all can remember the Occupy Wall Street, and that, the financial issues were not just in the United States, it was also globally. And after that, that's where we saw the banking system getting patched up and everything was fixed. And it's time to move on, nothing more to see. And it's gained strength. And now we're seeing more of the crumbling taking place because it wasn't fixed all the way. It was just the patches. It was just patches made. And it will not be until 2024 that he moves back fully in Aquarius, only to retrograde again through on September and November. He'll be retrograde, but then he'll move back. Then he'll move back into Capricorn. Okay, so that'll be the final blow. So this energy is going to take us into next year, into around November. And again, this is Pluto. He's far out, so this stuff won't happen overnight. It will happen gradually, just like the other did. Didn't all happen overnight. It was a gradual process. So after December of 2024, he will be in Aquarius for about 20 years. And during that time, when he's going back into Capricorn, again, any sign he's in, he's going to magnify that energy. So this is going to, this year we will definitely see, it's going to be a year of endings and in beginnings. We're going to see those top-down structures get torn down, collapsing, and those areas that have gained too much power, it's going to be an end of that. Aquarius is about the people. It's about grassroots up communities. And Aquarius represents freedom and human rights. It is the people. So that is a good change that is going on. And right now we're being prepared for the shift, and we're going to have to stay, and we're going to have to say, like, for the rest of the year, we're going to be feeling this energy, this T-square that's happening between Pluto and those nodes. And that T-square energy started the initiation, started back on April the 20th. And that's when we had a strong eclipse that Pluto was involved in. Then on the 5th of May, we had another eclipse. And that was when we ended that Taurus and Scorpio connection, Nodal Axis. Taurus and Scorpio is the financial axis. And that's where we were for 9 years. So again, it's not just going to end because it's changing. This is energy. It's a flow. This is going to be connected. All of this energy, and we have to understand that Uranus is in Taurus as well. This is going to connect, going to be shocking, going to be financial. Uranus loves the shock and awe. So when Saturn moved into Pisces, that further pushed the change because that's an outer planet. They usually take longer. Saturn is roughly 27 to 28 years. So when he moved into Pisces, that created a wave, and it began that change. So this is going to be quick change in some ways, and Saturn represents time. He represents father time and those trusted ways, and he is dissolving into Pisces. So I want to talk about history really quick before I ended this so you can hear the energy of this, okay? Of what it has produced in the past, because that's what we do in astrology. We look at the past and see what has happened. So the last time Pluto in Aquarius squared both the North Node, which were flipped, so it was the North Node in Scorpio and the South Node in Taurus, okay? That was back in 1789. And what happened in 1789? Well, several things. The storming of the Bastille happened. It was the French Revolution, April the 14th of 1789. It's when the peasants were, the kingdom was living, the elites were living fine, but the people, the workers, were starving. Sound familiar? So that was when the monarch was executed and France became a republic. Now for the United States in 1789, that is when George Washington became president, as well as John Adams, who was vice president. And this is when the Articles of Confederation ended, and we fully adapted the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights were ratified. So the Bill of Rights, in case you do not know that, that is the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution. So also, this is when the Judiciary Act of 1789 was formed. That is an organization, in case you don't know, of the federal court system that we have now. And that divided it down to district courts, circuit courts, and then we have Supreme Courts. And it outlined the whole structure of it, as well as the jurisdiction of each branch. So those are some powerful energies there that we are contending with. Capricorn, again, he's very prominent here because he's in this mix. His planet is Saturn, connected to Kronos, and I find this very interesting because Gaia was Kronos' mother. So this is very linking into our movement on the wheel as we go into, we get closer to Lunasa when we're having those celebrations for Lu. So that is it of the astrology, and there is more, and I will try to put more out as soon as I can. Always check my YouTube channel for more information. And let's see what the cards have in store for us at our divination portion of the show.